Welcome back. Today we're going to learn how to create sketches in Onshape. I'm going to start by creating a new document and calling it Lesson 1.2. When you're starting a new sketch, the very first step is going to be to click Sketch. You'll notice that as soon as you click Sketch, that all of these options along the top are going to change. These right here, all of these options are for creating features, which is what you do with a sketch once it's drawn. So when we click Sketch, you'll see that we have new options. And the first thing that happens is it's going to prompt us to choose a sketch plane. So if we choose the top plane, it's as if we're viewing an item from the top. So for example, my water bottle, if we were viewing it from the top plane, we'd be drawing the water bottle like this. If we were viewing it from the front plane, we'd be viewing it like this. And if we were viewing it from the right-hand plane, we'd be viewing it like this. So if you want to draw, for example, my water bottle from the side view, you'd have to click that you want to draw it on the right-hand plane. If you want to draw it as if it's from the top view, you'd want to click the top plane. So we're going to click the top plane. It's going to be kind of weird to draw unless we view it straight on. So I'm going to click the matching top plane button right here on my view cube to rotate the view, so now I'll be able to see straight on what I'm trying to draw. Note, I do not want to press this checkbox unless I'm entirely done drawing, because once I press this checkbox, I'm done with my sketch. And now you can see the options up here go back. That checkbox is only when you're entirely done. So if you've accidentally pressed that button, you can go back to the sketch and continue drawing by right-clicking and going to Edit. Let's get started. We're going to practice first how to draw a circle. So up here along the top, these are all things that you can do to sketch. So we're going to start off by drawing a circle. You can see that there's a drop down here next to circle. Center point circle, 3-point circle, ellipse. These are all different ways you can draw a circle. And if you hover over it, it'll give you instructions exactly how to do it. You can see that we'll draw this circle by first clicking on the center point and then clicking to show the radius. So I'm going to draw a circle. Make sure that the circle is selected or else the circle won't draw. You can see that my mouse turns into a blue plus, and that's allowing me to pinpoint a spot. So I'm going to click to see the center point, and I'm going to drag to draw a circle. Next we're going to practice drawing a line. I'm going to click line. As I hover my mouse over line, it's going to give me some instructions. You can see that you're going to click the start point and end point of the line. You can either repeat to create a chain of lines or double click to end the line function. So as I start to draw a line, you can see start and end. You can see as I move my mouse that it is lengthening and that there's a number that's increasing. That's the length of the line. And that as I rotate it, you can see there's a point where it kind of snaps, and there's an overlay of orange dashes on the line, and that means that my line is currently horizontal. So as I click, you can see, as it promised, that now I have the ability to create a continuous chain of lines. If I want to stop, I have to double click, or alternatively, I can click and say escape line, or I can press the escape button on my keyboard. All of those options will allow me to stop drawing a line. If we want to put an arc on the end of the line, there's an option over here under arc that says tangent arc. You can see you have to select the end point of the line and then the end point of the arc. So I'm going to select the end point of the line. You can see there's an arc that's being created tangent to that line. That's why it's called a tangent arc. And I will click to create the endpoint of that arc. It turns dotted right here, you'll notice, when it's perpendicular to that endpoint. The next thing I'm going to draw is an oval. I'll click the drop down next to circle to choose the oval or ellipse button. You can see that The first click is the center point, the second click is the major axis, and then the third click is the minor axis of the oval or ellipse. This is the rectangle button. You click the two corners of the rectangle. This is the arc button. I like 3-point arc. In the 3-point arc, you have to click to indicate the starting point, the ending point, and then the radius. So as I click, I'm going to indicate the starting point, the ending point of my arc, and then this last click is the radius, which tells you how arcy it is. Next, we're going to do a polygon. There's two choices for a polygon because we're going to be defining the radius of the polygon. Do we want it to be inside the radius of a circle or outside the radius of the circle? So as I click, here's the center point of the polygon, here's the radius of the polygon, and then the third click defines how many sides it has. I'm going to pick 6. This next button is how to draw a point. You're going to use points to create holes or to create places of reference for us to draw in later. So this is a point button. If you click, it will just create a single point. This next button is the text box. First, you're going to draw a text box, and then you can type whatever you want inside. If you want to change the font, you have to highlight it, and then you can click and choose to change, and then check to finish the text box. You'll notice that the lines around the text box are automatically dotted. That's because they're construction lines. Let's practice making a construction line. You'll see the same thing right here inside of the polygon. So what a construction line does, this is the button that converts a line back and forth from a construction line, is that it converts existing entities into construction, which is ignored when a sketch region is used for a feature. So what that means is, if I were to try to turn this polygon here into a solid object, that only these solid lines would be formed into a solid object, and this dotted line would not appear. This dotted line is just here for reference. In the case of the polygon, the dotted line is here to show the radius of the circle the polygon is built around. In the case of the text box, the dotted lines are here to show the boundaries of the text box. So if you were to create a feature from this word, it would not create a box shape around it. You would just see the letters. That's because these are construction lines. So let's say if you have a circle and a line through the circle, you can turn this line into a construction line by simply clicking this button. You can see from the graphic that it turns a solid line into a construction line. So by clicking it, you can see that I am changing it back and forth between regular line and construction line. The last thing I want to show you is how to dimension something, and then after dimension, use some of these other buttons up here, such as offset, mirror, and trim. So we're going to create a shape. As you create the shape out of lines, you'll notice that as you move your mouse and click, that the number that shows up here, in this case 2.2 something, turns into an editable text box the moment you click. If you were to type in a number right now before your second click, let's say 2, enter, you can see that your line now has a dimension that shows it has a length of 2, and that the length of the line has updated. So as you draw, you can type in the value as you go. Or alternatively, and I'll do that for these next ones, you can just choose a length and then have it changed later by adding a dimension. You'll notice that my shape has turned into a dark gray interior when I added that last line, because now it is closed. A closed shape is one that you can, that is all the points are connecting, and you can turn that into a feature. Alright, so let's add a dimension to these 3 lines because we did not do it while we were going. So the dimension button is right here, and it gives us instructions. Select the entity to be dimensioned, type in the value in the box. Perfect. So I'm going to click this line. And you can see as I click the whole line, it automatically gives me the length of the line. And as I select to place the dimension, I can type in the number 1, and it'll give it a new length. You can see that the rest of the shape changes size to match. Perfect. You'll notice, however, if I give this last line a dimension, it's going to turn like a light gray. It kind of like an error. And the reason why it's turned light gray is because the fact that this is 1.5 is redundant, because we already know that this is 0.5 and this is 1, which equals 1.5. So by defining this, it's like, well, you already told me that. It'll give you an error if you try to change this. If you try to change this, it won't even let you. If you change this one, for example, this will change in accordance, but it won't let you edit this one, and that's okay. So I'm going to delete it so we don't make a mistake there later. Perfect. So now that we have this shape, we're going to practice using the offset button. Here's offset, and it creates a line a certain distance away automatically from the original line. So as I select, for example, this guy, you can see it's automatically creating an offset line. And as I continue to click around the object, it's giving me kind of like a bubble effect around the outside. I can press enter and then type in the distance that I want that offset. I'm going to pick 0.1. Perfect. I wanted to show you an example of how to mirror. Oops. I pressed check. And you might be like, oh no, now I can't edit my drawing anymore. Remember, if this happens, you have to go back to your sketch and right-click and edit it again. And you'll notice it opens it back up and makes it editable. Glad I did that. Okay, so we're going to mirror this shape. When I hover over the mirror button, it says that you want to first select the line to mirror about, and then select the sketch entities to mirror. So I'm first going to select the line I want to mirror about, which in this case is this farthest left line. And then next it wants me to select the entities to mirror. You can see that as I choose them individually that they're creating a mirrored line. But it's going to suck to try and do all of those at once. So what you can do instead is select a mirror line and then draw a box around it all, and it'll just automatically mirror the other side. The last thing I wanted to show you is trim and extend. That's over here. Trim and extend are under the same drop down. If I click trim, it will remove lines. And if I click extend, extend will actually extend a line. This is cool. If I select that I want to extend this line, for example, you can see that off of the end that there's like this little extension, and I can reach over as far as I want and click. And you'll notice that the point has extended from here to here. I'm going to do the same thing down at this spot. I'm going to click extend and then the end point, and you can see that I can extend this line all the way over to the other side. We've finished with this practice. I'm going to zoom it in to show the whole screen by double-clicking the center mouse wheel. Whoop, there we go. And I'm going to finish the sketch by pressing the check box. Good work. You've finished.